What's good, everybody? How we doing? Thank you very much for staying with me on this path, on this journey. RgL SEDAN sessions. Super excited to have Selena Rosanbalm join me today. Thank you very much. Some of you might know her as Rosie, Rosie and the Ramblers. But Selena Rosanbalm, RgL SEDAN sessions. It's a conversation series where we peel back the fourth wall, if you will, peel back the curtain, see how you've been, what's been going on. Because one of the things that I think you've noticed about not only our connection, but a lot of the connections that we have in this city and in art and in work is we dive deep. We dive deep and we want to find out how everything has been and what's around the corner. So Selena, thank you for joining me today on number 6, I think. RgL SEDAN sessions number 6. How are you? How you been?
I'm good, man.
Hey.
I've been busy. Hey. Yeah, I've been busy just cranking out shows and trying to crank out some new tunes and just doing the thing, man.
So this summer, so we're doing the conversation series over this summer, and so they're eventually going to kind of be rolling out as I fine tune things and so. But you just had a busy weekend, yeah? You've been gigging pretty hardcore over there.
Had a busy weekend. Let's see, what did I do? I had really the whole week. On Wednesday, I did my regular Wednesday residency at Samstown Point.
That's with Libby, right?
Libby and the Loveless, yep.
That's right.
And right before that show, I did a little duo thing at Sagebrush, just my songs. Let's see. Thursday night, I played a White Horse with this guy, Cotton Clifton. Okay. He just moved here from Nashville. And what did I do Friday?
They all sort of blur together, right?
Man, as soon as they're over, I forget what happened. I did something else on Friday, and then last night I played at Samstown Point again with Rosie and the Ramblers.
And that's the life.
That's it.
That's the life. So I had a buddy of mine in not too long ago, Lonnie Trevino Jr. He's a bass player and one of the founding members of the South Austin Moonlighters, career musician as well. And one of the things he always posts is that Muddy Waters quote, "I love the life I live and live the life I love." Mm-hmm. But it's hard, I'm sure, sometimes. Yeah,
it gets a little dicey. Mostly for me, I'm not much of a night person. I'm really more of a morning guy.
And I'm sure that's surprising for a lot of folks, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. But we stayed out a little late on Thursday. My husband was on that gig with me.
Cat, shout out Cat Clemens.
Cat Clemens, what's up, dude?
Which we'll get into that little connection here in a little bit
definitely.
As well.
But he played with me on that Cotton Clifton gig, and we played at 10, but then a bunch of homies were out, so we stayed out for a bit, and we got home, and it was like close to 2.
What happens?
That's what happens, man. But as soon as we got home, I was like, I don't like being up late.
That immediate, like, oh, why did I do this? Morning me or early evening me was not thinking about this. So that's one of the whole reasons, too, why I wanted to get this thing off the ground, this conversation series, when there's a whole lot of overlap. There's a whole lot of depth in our connection as well. You're one of my favorite people to soundboard with, to collaborate on ideas, on thoughts, and I thank you. I want to thank you for that, for always being so willing to listen, always being so willing to share. And I come away from a lot of our conversations, but then conversations with the folks that have been in the sedan and that will be, thinking, man, I should have recorded that. That would have been an awesome TED Talk or something, you know? And so I'm doing it. RgL SEDAN sessions. You'll hopefully be able to find it wherever you need to pull up the apps, the things, and do it. But I kind of want to dig into the why and the how. Like how, it's one of the things I used to ask in my corporate world, which I'm in a different level of banking. I've been in banking on that side of my life. There's a Ray Wiley Hubbard quote from the song The Rabbit. I believe that's the song, where he says, there's 2 kinds of people in the world, the day people and the night people. And it's the night people's job to get the day people's money.
Yep.
I was like, but what if you're both? Like, I'm a banker by day, I'm a honky-tonker by night. And that's how we met. That's how you and I met. You were a part of the origin story, band-wise, of the White Horse era, I believe, right? You were one of the few that kicked that joint open, yeah?
True story, yeah. We, Howdy Darrell, who was the original booker there, who helped, I think, physically build the place along with the Moon Pies and many others. We were a new band. I think this was 2011. And I think my first gig was February of that year. And because
they opened December.
Yeah, it was cold weather. I don't remember the month, but I know it was cold.
I remember because the anniversaries all come around the time of my birthday. Like I love celebrating around that, so it's pretty cool coincidence.
Awesome. Yeah, he messaged us and was like, hey, there's this new club opening on the east side. It's called the White Horse. Do you guys want to play it? I was like, okay.
How new was the band?
The band was
that part, because you've been playing and you're an artist, you've been doing a lot for a while.
I had been performing for a long time, but the band thing was pretty new to me. I think our first gig was in February or March of 2011, so this is just a few months later. So we were still pretty green. And said yes to this gig, of course, because like nobody was asking us to play at that point. So I was like,
yeah, let's
yes,
gig, let's do it.
And we played the White Horse. Our first gig there was the night that they got their liquor license.
Okay, so party all the way around.
So it was pretty fun, and that was way back when they had like house bands. We were one of the house bands that were like on the website. It was like, you know, Mike and the Moonpies, of course. I think Brennan Lee was on there. Rosie and
which
the Ramblers.
Now Silverado.
Silverado. That's right.
Absolutely. Mike and the Moonpies. Shout out to them as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I discovered the White Horse probably a year after that through the conjunto side of things. I'd been searching and looking for some of that music, and I heard murmurs and rumors of like, yeah, you can go find it at the White Horse on Sundays. And Dennis and Marshall were doing the cookouts that they would do, the grilled chicken and rice and beans. And it was so awesome because it turned into like a church function. Every Sunday you go get your whatever blessings you need to in the morning. You go get your conjunto dancing and your beers and tequila, and then there was the plates. And then the grandmas and the tias would bring the extra and the cakes. It was pretty awesome. But that overlapped and spilled into, because the White Horse consistently has great music.
Yes.
And so right after the conjunto, there was, I think, oh my gosh, Bar Brawl was a band that would play right after. A couple of other honky tonks would play right after. And then just the vibe would carry over. But then one of the things that I remember and I enjoy, and I was thinking about this morning, is when y'all were done gigging, playing, working, you were also going to shows there, supporting each other, going and do, because we also would go to, when Mike and the Moonpie Silverado would play, I think they played weekly at the Broken Spoke as well, because that's where I remember really connecting with you and a lot of the other folks who were our musicians that were playing there. Is we'd go dance, and I had Eric Moreno and hanging out not too long ago too, and it's just like going to have fun and hang. That's one of the things that I enjoyed, is that we could see y'all gigging, playing, we're having fun, but then it wasn't like some of your Austin music scenes where, you know, you're, oh no, you don't want to kind of behind the curtain. No, you're out there hanging with the folks. That's what I really enjoyed, and that's how I remember initially meeting you specifically, was White Horse, Broken Spoke, dancing.
Yeah.
Obviously you're gigging, and it's one of the things that I enjoy, is seeing people do what they do and do it well, and you do it really well.
Oh, thanks, man.
all of you really do. But how'd you get to that? How did Rosie and the Ramblers come up? And where?
You know,
loaded question. Right?
I started as a dancer too. I didn't really grow up dancing or anything, but I definitely had an interest in it. I remember coming home on break from college one year and took myself to the Broken Spoke, went by myself and didn't know how to two-step, but like knew I could do it because I was in school for musical theater. I was like, I know how to dance. I can do this.
How long had you been in town?
That was, so I was in college. So I've been living here since 95.
Got it.
So this is, early 2000s, I guess, mid 2000s. And came through, you know, all the old guys were on the dance floor, and I was like, I'm gonna get one of these guys, and I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
And that was my first two-stepping experience at the Broken Spoke by myself. Wow. And then after college, I moved to New York briefly to try the theater thing out, but then I didn't really like living there, and I didn't really like auditioning anymore, so came back. In
what capacity? What do you mean the theater thing? You Broadway? You were?
Yeah. I majored in musical theater, and you know, sort of promised myself that I would move to New York, give it a shot.
Right.
Did so many auditions, and it's funny because in college I was really I don't know, the auditioning thing, just like constant auditions, like always being judged by somebody, and also, you know, all of your classmates, and I was really sick of it. But by the time I got to New York and was doing it there, I was feeling, you know, fairly confident in my auditions, and they went pretty well, and I got called back for lots of things, but I never got anything.
And I know you said you didn't like it up there eventually, for I'm sure a whole bunch of reasons. But how long were you there?
Oh, not long. I was there for 6 months.
Okay. But doing it.
But I went.
Do it. You were. It wasn't like you were. Hey, sitting back idle.
Yeah.
No, you went to do it. Okay.
Went to do it. I was working at Starbucks.
Okay.
Like you do.
Right. I was going to say the typical thing. Okay. Yep. Got it.
You know, so I'm glad I did it. But I came back and I did a little bit of theater in town here. Did some stuff with the Zilker Summer Musical. Did some stuff at Zach Scott. But got kind of tired of having to wait for shows to come around that like I was appropriate for, that there was a role in for me. Just like, you know, this game.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that's one of the things that had me pick up a photography camera, because I was on film and TV sets with folks coming up. But you can't, unless it's your gig, unless it's your show, you can't just go and be like, I'm going to be in a show today. I'm going to go get a commercial today. No, it's up to so many other variables.
Yeah.
And so wanting to flex some sort of creativity, I was like, well, I can control my camera. I can control my own thing. Because not only was, I mean, so theater, singing, what was where did you go to college?
Oklahoma City University.
Okay. Got it. So but you said you've been in Austin as a kid, yeah?
Yes.
What was the journey? What was the where did little Selena
come? No, well, my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot when I was really young. I was born in Colorado Springs, and my brother was born in Australia, so he's got a cooler story than me. But
we'll have to have him next.
Yeah, he loved it. So born in Colorado Springs, and we moved to Mississippi for a short time. I don't really remember that. And we moved to Virginia, Northern Virginia, which I do remember, and moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's where my parents split. And most of my mom's family is in and around Austin, so we came here. And that's where I went to school. So it was 95. So I started here in 6th grade. Wow.
Selena Rosanbalm hanging out in the SEDAN, RgL SEDAN sessions. We pulled up today to La Posada. We didn't even, we got really, see, this is what happens when we get together. We just dive right into the conversation. But no, this is one of our favorite spots to just do this anyway, because we would have done this anyway. It's been a while since we caught up. So thank you again. For hopping in RgL SEDAN Sessions conversation series, where I have a bunch of fascinating people in my circle, and I'm lucky enough to share that circle with some very, very talented folks in the creative, in every sense, whether it's music, whether it's film, in the business world. Because one of the things that I'm sure you've noticed in being in Austin this long is you might see the barista, you might see the waiter, the banker, the whatever, but there's probably a film, a gig, some showing something that they're working on, because that's what the city is what you do, and that's kind of what it's about. Is that one of the things that you felt growing up and coming up, because you went to college and you said in Oklahoma City? How did that happen?
Well, by my junior and senior year in high school, I had gotten involved with this company called Austin Musical Theater, which was kind of one of the premier theater companies in town at the time. They're not here anymore, but they had a junior performing troupe called the Junior Company, Austin Musical Theater Junior Company. And so that was kind of how I got started in theater, because I'd been doing choir since 6th grade, and that was when we moved here. It was sort of a traumatic thing to move here. You know, just like post-divorce and then living in a different state from one of your parents.
So it was Albuquerque to here, correct?
Yeah. Ultimately, everything was fine, but but my mom had signed me up for choir, which was the best thing.
And had you done anything like that before, or expressed any interest in that? Or?
You know, my very first performance was in 5th grade. So when I was about to be coming here, and me and like my 4 best friends did I Just Can't Wait to Be King from the Lion King. The talent show.
Is that on VHS somewhere?
Oh man, I don't know. I hope it is. Oh,
nice.
But that was my first performance. And it was really fun.
Yeah.
And then we came here, and I got in choir, and
that was 6th grade.
I was 6th grade.
Okay.
And that was also when I found out, this it competition is big in Texas, of course,
Oh,
and so there's
yeah,
like
yeah.
all region choir, so you start doing these choir
Oh,
competitions and
yes.
stuff. So, which is cool on one hand, but on the other hand, it's kind of like the bedrock of my musical journey was
Competition.
yes.
Ooh, that almost sounds like pageants.
Yeah. Thank God I was never in pageants. Oh my God. But funny
Oh,
thing you mentioned that because my college, Oklahoma City University, huge pageant school.
that's right. You wrote a
Huge.
song about that.
I did.
Yeah, on what was the album?
Whatever you need.
That's right. Thank you for that as well, which if a lot of folks remember, don't you? So you had put out a what was it? Was it a GoFundMe? I think, or what? I forget. There's been so many
Kickstarter.
platform Kickstarter. Yes, it was a Kickstarter, and a lot of us chipped in, and thank you for allowing us that. But I made a very big ask to see if I could shoot some photos with and for you, and you graciously let me shoot photos for your album cover, front and back cover on that, and so I thank you for that. And it was really, really awesome.
Hell
In
yeah,
fact,
man.
Facebook was cruel with their memories and letting you know how long or short ago that was 10 years ago.
I know.
That was 10 years ago. The memory came up because you had it out at Waterloo Records, and so they put the banner up, and so that was super cool for me. I got to, my dad and I went and had breakfast right next door. I believe it was 24 Diner then.
24.
And I got to stand next to a photo I had. That was the first time that I got to stand next to a photo that I took, and it was your album cover. Thank
Hell
you
yeah.
very much for that. But no, what was the song that you wrote about the pageant?
It was called Three Bronze Beauty Queens.
Yeah, that album was a bit of a journey. Yeah, was it for you in a whole bunch of ways? I'm sure because there was a time I thought that, and maybe I'm wrong, that you were putting Rosie and the Ramblers away.
There was. It was after that album came out. I started the band and we kind of started picking up. I make the joke that like I was never more popular than when I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
That naive.
You're just throwing it all out there, and you're copying what you've seen, and you're borrowing things from people.
Well, that's collaboration.
Sure,
that's really sure. Collage, the collage artistry. Wow.
And so I was like hitting it really hard and booking, doing like 5 shows a week, still working at the coffee shop. But I was down to like 2 days at the coffee shop. So, but even with that, man, I was so busy.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, work really hard, and you'll things will happen
you'll
for you.
Move
work
up.
really hard, work really hard, which is true to an extent, but also you'll burn out.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast we can go down.
You'll burn right out. And that is what
especially
happened.
if it's not what you know that you want to do or can do. I mean, it's a different thing, and that's when I had Lonnie Trevino here and talked about it, I asked him, I was like, do you ever wonder what folks who don't have that creative drive, not that there's anything against having it or not, but do you kind of wonder what is their drive? What is their passion? And some are happy. I've also heard it that I kind of, what am I trying to say? I'm envious of that sort of, clock in, clock out. I'll be happy. No, I want a little bit more.
Yeah. I can't understand it. I'm also a little jealous of it.
Which to each their own journey. That's what will and make you happy. But it's great to have and be around people that are supportive of that. And it was around that time that you met Kat, I believe. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, I don't remember what year it was, but Kat is my husband. Yeah. And we met playing with the Hot Texas Swing Band, which also started in 2011, which I am also still a part of, fronted by my good friend Alex Dormont.
Hey, Alex, yep, absolutely.
And we were doing a gig at Cheatham Street Warehouse in San Marcos. There was nobody there. There was like 5 people in this place, which used to be the hot spot in San Marcos, man. But time changes everything, right, as they say. And so I was on a gig there. We had this fill-in guitar player. He was 21 years old. I showed up and he's wearing this outlandish outfit with like a top hat. I was like, who's this guy? Oh my God.
Which if you haven't met Kat, you'll know when you meet Kat. Love him.
It's like, this dude better be good because he looks ridiculous.
Nice. Own it, baby. Own it.
Oh man. And so we met there, and he was still in college, and he's he's a few years younger than me. Um, so he was perfectly nice, but I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of reason to talk to him for a long time. So I didn't ignore him on gigs, but I didn't like engage necessarily a whole lot.
Right.
Um,
In the same band,
in the
you.
same band.
The Hot
Oh
Texas
yeah.
Swing Band. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But
what a novella.
Then, yes, for my CD release party, which we had at the ABGB for Whatever You Need, the guy who had played on the album and who had been playing with me for a long, long time, Matt Thomas, called me up. I remember I was walking around to CVS and he called me up and was like, "Hey, like, sorry, something came up and I can't play the release party." And I was like,
chandelier drop. Yeah, it's like what? I
was like freaking out. I was like, okay, oh my God, who am I going to call? It's like, maybe Kat Clemens could do it. So he was available and he played the CD release party. And then he kind of became the guitar player for the band.
And in that lane, the rest is, as they say, history. But not really, because there's one really cool big moment I remember for me. Obviously, y'all did your thing and fell in love because y'all obviously got married.
We did.
I remember, though, it was a really, really cool moment for me. Again, a testament to our connection. It was one of those few truly surprise moments for me. I was working for a bank and I had gone out to Abilene to help them rehab one of their branches, just sort of a week trip. And a lot of us were pitching in to do that. And out of nowhere, I get a text from you both with an ask, and you were like, "Hey, we've been really thinking, and you know we're getting married, so I don't even know if you'd announced it yet or not, that there was a wedding, and you asked me to officiate because for those who don't know as well, I did for my buddy Roger and Bridget. Shout out to them if and when you guys do see this. Long time ago, oh my gosh, early 2000s or so, they had asked me similar. Hey, we'd really like if you would officiate, and so they'd went online. We did the Universal Life Church, and I became a wedding officiant, the Reverend. I got to pick my title, Rev RgL. But nobody knows that. Nobody. I've done a couple. Thankfully, everybody is still married, so there's a good good track record. I've even done a blessing, and I blessed a little baby. Someone joked, I was like, I need to do a funeral, and then I'll have the whole circle. But no, that had been put away for the longest time. No one. I mean, I wasn't. That wasn't a gig. That wasn't anything I was doing. But organically, you both sent the text, and we'd really, really like it if you would officiate our wedding. And the first thing I did was whipped out that card. And because you offered to, hey, we'll go online, we'll do it, we really want, and I was like, whoa! I remember I had just pulled into the hotel, I was getting the luggage out, and truly, I was like, I think I dropped the phone because I was laughing, I was happy, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, little do they know, and so I did. I dropped what I was doing, I opened up my wallet, and I have it here still, and I pulled out the card, I took a photo of it, I was like, done. Tell me where to be. Like, we will do it. And that, folks, is the biggest reason why, like, I want to have not only yourself, but folks that are that connected. Because I'm gracious. That is a forever beautiful moment where I was able to officiate the wedding for Selena and Pat out at Alex Dormont's place, which was a beautiful, beautiful day all around. Thank you both for that honor.
Yeah, man. We were so pleased you could do it. We were like racking our brains, like, who was going to officiate this wedding? Because we don't want a stranger to do it. I think that's so crazy when people have strangers officiate their wedding.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be somebody cool. It's got to be somebody cool as hell.
No pressure.
We were like, Ricardo, yes.
Oh my God! Selena Rosanbalm hanging out in the Sedan RgL Sedan sessions. Just kind of catching up on the journey. We were talking about how you and Kat met, the wedding. Again, thank you for letting me be a part of all of that. And I love. We were talking about how Facebook has a way of making the years really compressed, but that's great. I love when those little tidbits pop up and we get to share. Well, what's around the corner for both of you, for you musically, because you're playing drums now, yeah? Or
yeah, man. I started playing drums sort of during the pandemic, or as we were sort of phasing out of that. So my friend Libby and the Loveless, she and Sly, her pandemic project was to learn how to play guitar, and she was learning from our friend Sly Barrick, who think was the first guitar player in
Because
Rosie and
had
the
she
Ramblers.
gigged much before?
She had never gigged before at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was also a choir nerd, and this was kind of how
Okay.
we became friends at the coffee shop. So you'd like put on music that we both liked and just be harmonizing together. It's like, oh, you do that too. So that was sort of how we came together. But she mentioned to me, she was like, "Oh my God, Sly didn't tell me he was doing this, but he just booked a gig for us at the Whippin'," and she was so nervous. She was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be me and Sly," and I think she said, I think at that point I knew Preston Brown had been asked to play bass, and she was like, "Yeah, and we're gonna have this friend play snare drum just like as a favor."
Yeah.
And we were like having beers.
Very
She was telling me
very
this.
toned down set, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it has been a secret dream of mine to play drums. I haven't had a reason to do it. It's like expensive to get all the stuff, and I was like, I would really love to play snare drum, like just one drum. I could probably do that. It was like that would be so fun. That's like a dream of mine, and like I could sing some harms with you. And she was like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Let me talk to Sly." So I was like, "Okay, let me take a drum lesson before we do this."
Totally do that. Now, how do I do that?
So I messaged James Gwynn.
Okay, yeah.
Who's like, "Dude, can you teach me how to play brushes on a snare drum, please?" He's like, "Oh yeah, come over." And so he did, and I called Libby. Was like, "Okay, I'm cool. I think I can do it." And we had a few rehearsals, and that was the first gig.
And now y'all have regular weekly gigs, yeah?
Now we've had a long time residency at Sam's Point on Wednesday nights at 8:00. Come by. Okay. And yeah, man, we've just been doing the thing, and all of us have grown a lot. Libby's definitely grown a lot as a band leader and musician. Learned a lot of stuff. I've been adding small pieces of a drum kit as time goes on.
Living that dream, fulfilling the dream.
Yep, still so much to learn. Still learning all the time.
Good.
But out there doing it. Sly even is singing a couple songs, which is
so it's turned into a thing. It's turned into an actual. I mean, obviously it's a band, but it's so. What's next? Are y'all gonna make an album?
Yeah, there's some chatter. There's some chatter right now about making an album. We've got a few original tunes. Libby and Sly were kind of writing some. I threw a couple in the mix. So that I think that's coming down. We're talking about maybe recording in the fall.
Okay. Yeah. Because you too, also in the midst of all the last several years, you put out your own solo album, yes?
I did, yes.
Tell me about that.
We recorded it the last week of February 2020.
Right on time.
Right on time.
For all of the...
So a couple weeks later, you know what happened.
Right.
Wow. That was great. That was me, Kat played guitar on it, Lindsey Green on bass, and James Gwynn playing drums for it. Yeah, that one I don't really know how to say what kind of record that is, what kind of music it is. There's like some country tunes, there's some not country tunes.
That was still though an intentful release, yeah, obviously. You
that was I think a really personal one. That was sort of me processing a death, or a couple of them actually. There was a pet death also in the mix there. So kind of digging into that stuff. But
how amazing or not is it to, because I wonder about that expressive nature of things. Like, it's good to have that catharsis. It's good to have a release. But how is it when, because I think also I remember Ray Wiley Hubbard. It's interesting that I don't know why his quotes are coming up. Well, there's a song where he talks about, I think, the Redneck Mother song, and there's a live cut where he says, one of the things you gotta realize is you gotta be happy singing this song over and over and over and over again. And he's like, I'm serious. So I wonder, in the serious sense, like when you pen something that's heavy or that is that, how do you either release it, or how does it morph into? Is it painful? Is it therapy? Like, what is that like for you? I'm sure it's different for everyone.
Yeah. There's a few songs on that record that I don't think I've ever played at a show. That I probably would play at some shows if I was doing some different venues, and that's kind of my goal this year, to be playing some more listening rooms.
Okay.
And I actually have a little video recording session coming up in 2 or 3 days.
Ooh, nice.
To try to get some booking done. But yeah, some of those were real singer-songwritery and real sad. And I don't think I could pull them out at the White Horse. You know,
right.
Certainly not for the dancer crowd.
Right. It's a listening room.
Yeah, it's a listening room kind of thing. And you know, it sort of depends on like the distance you have from like a painful event that you've written a song about. There's actually a tune I've been doing forever and ever that's on the first album, the Rosie and the Ramblers record, that has shifted in meaning a little bit, and it has never bothered me before. But now when I do it, I get a little teary. I'm like, don't cry on this gig, don't cry.
Interesting.
So things kind of morph.
Journey that it takes. Wow. I guess it also depends on where you're at in your journey or your growth of it. So we know stage in several forms: theater, choir, musicianship. What else do you do? What are you into? Who is Selena Rosanbalm?
Oh, good question.
Right.
So, go briefly. Speaking of choir stuff, I've recently gotten back into choral singing.
How dare me forget that? Absolutely, with an amazing Grammy Award-winning choir.
Yeah, Conspirare.
Absolutely. Tell me about that.
It's been really awesome, man. I've known about them for a little while. They are an auditioned group of singers. It's like semi-professional. But everybody who's there really wants to be there, which was not always the case in the choirs I've been in. You know, because it's like high school kids and college kids. And, you know.
So I was in the high school choir.
Yeah.
I was the choir chaplain my senior year.
Ooh.
No, that was my junior year, and then I became the choir president.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Oh my. See, folks, those aha moments. Those aha moments that we're just revealing on the spot. No, yeah, choir president senior year. But I get what you're saying too about the competition. I was in private school, but man, I was a theater kid though too. Theater kid turned choir kid, and I just wanted to be a part. I'm only child, so like I just wanted to be part of the group. I just wanted to do things. So what ignited obviously you sing, you perform, you gig. So singing is not unusual for you. I'm sure it's not unfamiliar, obviously. Why the choral setting?
Yeah, I wanted to start singing that kind of music again, like classical music. And when I was younger, coming up, I sang soprano. You know, it was like singing opera and stuff in college, and which is not really my bag. I don't quite have an opera voice, but like, you know, they're like legit musical theater stuff, like soprano-y things. And I was wanting to develop that part of my voice again and kind of get it back. And so I did a couple stints in voice lessons in recent years, which is cool, but didn't really have me singing super often, and I wasn't performing these pieces or anything.
Got it. So you weren't able to flex that part.
Yeah. So I was looking for a choir to be a part of. I joined a church choir briefly, right before the pandemic, actually, and then that kind of shut it down. And I knew about Conspirare, and one of my voice teachers had mentioned them. But again, they were an auditioned group, and I was a little spooked by that because part of the audition was sight reading, which I used to be really good at.
So then that takes you right back to the Broadway days and all that. It's like,
Oh yeah, I haven't auditioned in years and years and years. Yeah, so like a familiar thing to do, but really uncomfortable.
Right. Setting myself. I wonder that about the acting journey, for myself, because that's one of my main pursuits, and I don't do enough of it yet, again, or anymore right now. But yeah, you're literally walking in to be judged.
Oh yeah.
But you got to be. That's part of it. That is part of it. If you don't fit the role, if you don't fit the voice, if you don't fit whatever, then okay. But it's hard to swallow that pill.
Yeah. Definitely. So I signed up to audition. Well, the timing was so funny because this was at the end of January, and I got on the website, and it was like auditions are like next week or something. So
and you're saying sight reading was a big part of it.
Yeah. So I like sent in an inquiry, and I didn't hear back from them. Then I messaged them. I was like, hey, I'm just following up. Did you get my thing? And they're like, oh yeah, there's like 2 audition days left. Like, can you make it one of these days? I was like, yes, thankfully I could make it one of those days. And I was like, I am not prepared for the sight reading. Like, I'm gonna bomb it.
And what is sight reading?
Sight reading is when they put a piece of sheet music in front of you and you have to sing it.
It's your first time seeing it. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I knew I was not ready for that. but I was like, I'm signing up anyway. Like, I have to try this. So I went in and I sang my prepared piece, and I sang the piece that they had sent all of us to learn. Mm-hmm. I was definitely nervous. I like sang okay, but it was, you know, a little shaky. I was very nervous.
Got it.
And then they were like, okay, well, there's a piece of music on the music stand there for you. You know, take a minute, look at it.
What was the setting like? Was it just like 2-3 people at a table?
Yeah, so it was in the choir rehearsal room at the church where we do rehearsals for this group. And so I walked in. It's like, you know, riser seating. The director of the choir is up there. His executive assistant had led me into the room, and then he sat like in a different section, and then there was a woman at the piano. So like a large cavernous room.
Yeah. And leading up to that, was it cattle call-ish? Was there like lines of people?
No, it was you had to make an appointment to audition, so there just there just were a few people in the lobby. One of whom was this man who looked very confident, and I was like, oh, he's been here before. Like, I don't want to talk to him. He's too confident.
Oh no.
So yeah, so I went in.
That's interesting.
And I kind of forgot with the sight reading, like, you're allowed to take a minute to look at it and like work it out in your head a little bit. And I forgot that because it's been since I think high school since I've had to sight read by myself. So they're like, take a minute, you know, and then start whenever you want. I was like, okay. And I looked at the page for like 5 seconds, and then I just started in, and I failed. I failed so hard. And it's been a long time since that has happened to me. And
did you know how far? Because I've been in those moments where it derails spectacularly, and I know and you just got to commit.
You got to keep going, man. I got like 3 measures in, and I had done okay, and then it fell completely apart. And they didn't stop me early. They like made me finish the page. I was like, oh my God,
just keep going.
Just really aware in the moment. I was like, this is the most embarrassing thing that's happened.
That's when you kind of want one of those American Idol moments where they're just like, stop.
Oh, just... yes, please, God, stop this. Nobody's enjoying this.
Oh, no.
So then I finished the sight reading and was like, and they were like, they kind of chuckled and were like, haha, thank you so much. I was like, thank you so much. But then in the moment, they were like, how, you know, did you review the schedule? Does it work for you? I was like, yeah, I think I'm free on all the dates. And they said, we'd love you to join us. And I was like, what? Okay, I'll be there.
So it sounds like because you told me a little bit about that, sir, but obviously it was a multi-weighted audition. You know, you have the chops.
Yeah.
And y'all just had, I just went to y'all's first public performance, and I know on the calendar there were a couple of other private events and things you guys were doing, but your first public performance, yours with them, but Conspirare themselves since before COVID, correct?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I love being a part. I mean, that ensemble of it to be, because you fronted bands, you do front bands. Is it hard to get back into ensemble mode, be in ensemble mode?
I love to be in ensemble mode. So, you know, sort of where I learned how to sing was with a bunch of people. So that's been really cool. But the way that those performances feel is super different than band performances. And I was nervous. I was surprised because I perform all the
theater.
time.
I mean, it's like
a big room, a large group of people singing a type of music that I haven't sung in front of people in many, many years. And I was shaking up there, man. I was like,
were you? I was going to ask.
Oh yeah. I surprised myself with how nervous I was. I was like, oh my God.
And I wondered with the lighting, because I lucked out. I got a really close seat, but I wondered with the lighting, could you see the audience? Could you see? Because that was a pretty big, what was the venue? It was the...
Bates Recital Hall.
Yes, Bates Recital Hall.
At UT, yeah. I could see the audience. I couldn't really make out faces past like 10 rows or so.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I've been lucky enough in a couple capacities, high school theater, to perform a few things, but then on the ballet folklorico side, which is where I got my start in dancing, we took a trip they have an annual conference, the ANGF, Acción Nacional de Grupo Folclóricos, basically a seminar of folklorico groups. We got to go and perform at the States Theater in Jalapa, Veracruz. But I'm so glad I couldn't see a thing out there. It was, we just saw the stage, and I was familiar with that. So I wondered that because it was really well lit and man, really well done. There was a great narrative, and that was a great. And it's one of the I've known about Conspirare for a while as well. There have been one or two other friends and friends of friends who have been a part of it. So it's really really exciting. Again, I love how small the world gets. That's one of the things. In my first buddy that hopped in, Dewey Brooks. It's like traveling. Which I know you and Kat do a lot, and you've got a trip for your birthday coming up soon. Yeah, where are you
Yep.
going?
We're going to Paris.
We Perry. What is it really saying? I don't even know. I don't know
Ooh la
French
la.
for ooh la la. Yeah, Chez Perry. There, that's what I'm trying to get spit out. Um, no, it's the more places you go, the more places you visit. I mean, it's the smaller your world gets, but it's that expressive, it's that learning, it's that collaborative nature of it. Um, how's the pup? You guys have an amazing dog, yeah?
Our puppy, he just turned 12
Happy
on Friday.
birthday,
He's an old
Strider.
boy, Strider. He's a blue lacy. He's a perfect baby.
Of course, they all are.
Um,
Yes.
he's very unique. He'll smile at you when he meets you.
Oh gosh, what? So do you get? Y'all just recently moved with him? Yeah. Well, I mean, for you had to. Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah, about a little over a year ago, we moved because we had a house fire.
Community came together though on that one
Whoa.
again.
In an incredible way. We just were totally, totally floored by it. It's sort of hard to process still now. Yet people showed out for us with donations, and so many people came through the house just helping us get all of our shit out. And
well, that's one of the things
man.
that drew me again because I like I said when the beginning of just going to shows, discovering the White Horse, seeing talented people doing their thing with intent, with passion, it makes you want to one not only go celebrate it, support it, throw something in the tip jar, but you want to find out and help and support that journey, whether it is a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe for something tragic like that. But then the resiliency of seeing people come together and bounce back, because it is as cliche as it sounds. It takes a village.
Yeah,
it takes a village. So what else is around the corner for you guys, for whether it's musically, personally, professionally? What any surprises in store?
I don't know about any surprises. I'm hoping to be playing, like I said, some more listening venues by the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know.
What does that look like? Like coffee shops, wine shops, little. I mean, I know there's.
Yeah, like Saxon Pub type stuff,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
Quacks South,
Mm-hmm.
like sort of ticketed events where people come to listen on purpose instead of being like, oh, oops, there's a band here at the place I'm at,
right,
and I'm gonna talk through them.
I wonder how. Yeah, I see that, and I see how frustrating that can be sometimes. Just.
Kat has been working on his own music. He's got just some new stuff, like crazy concepts that I can't even quite comprehend that he's been working on.
So many layers and backstories to all the things. Like I said, you're one of the few and first people that I like to take a lot of my ideas or thoughts on things. When I decided I was going to try the corporate world again back in 2014, you and I were talking about that when you were making the album, thinking on creative ideas and just hopping on board for something like this. I think it's really exciting how we all lend that support and go forward with it to push the idea together. So I want to thank you for that, for helping me launch, for helping me push this a little bit forward. There's been a couple things though that I'm noticing as each person hops in that I'm enjoying finding out. We're peeling the curtain back, obviously, a little bit. What is something that either people get confused or don't know or is a misconception? What is something, or that when they find out about you, they're really surprised about you?
Interesting question. People are still surprised that I'm playing drums. My dad keeps saying, I did not see this coming. I think my one is maybe sort of a personality thing, because I'm a little shy.
Okay.
So to meet me, I think I seem a little standoffish at times.
That has been an interesting common thread of every person here. Who there's been musicians, songwriters, people, public facing people but they're like, I'm really actually kind of an introvert. I think that's a
Definitely.
theme.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am too. I need to recharge
Yeah. Oh
for as
man.
much as you put out there, and
Oh,
I'm sure.
I love to be in my house by myself.
That's right.
So good. But yeah, I think but my husband actually even told me, he was like, yeah, I think that maybe you come off a little intense to people. I was like, I'm intense, what? And I was like, oh, damn it, I can see that. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. But I'm just quiet and shy.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm a nice guy.
Just come say hi.
Yeah.
But not too
Not too
close.
close. Don't get too close.
If not Austin, you and Kat here. I'm not gonna go. Where would y'all be? What would you? If not Rosie and the Ramblers, what do you think? What any other lives?
Yeah, man, great question. It really, the music thing is what's keeping us here. Austin's gotten so crazy expensive and so techy and weird. But the musical opportunities you have here are just impossible
It's
to
still
find anywhere
prevalent
else.
as someone working.
The money is tough, but like the opportunity to play with like different types of bands and like all of these different people, I think is really hard to find anywhere else. So I don't know, if music weren't a factor, we could live a lot of places. We've kind of talked about New Mexico. We're kind of tossing around the idea of Virginia again.
Okay.
But the way things are, like we've got to find somewhere that's got some kind of a music scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's what you do.
That's what we do, and like I'm still growing as a musician. A little baby drummer over here. So
Well, that's cool. I mean, always a journey, always something. I did finally, and I have shared this idea, that phrase I enjoy, never an arrival, where, yeah, the second you think that you've mastered it or you didn't, like someone or something is going to remind you that you haven't, and there's more to learn. I think stay humble in that sense.
Definitely. I've mastered nothing.
Well, we'll try again tomorrow. But for now, let's go get some tacos. We're here at La Posada RgL SEDAN Sessions Conversation Series, where I'm asking my closest and dearest friends and connections that started as people that I admire. That's kind of what I was alluding to in one of my ramblings earlier, is that seeing people do your talent and one, going to be able to say hello to you and then being able to share in the journey. That's a beautiful thing about the city, about creativity, collaboration in general. So thank you for letting me pick your brain.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
Find out a little bit more.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for being a pal.
Yeah, thank you.
RgL SEDAN Sessions, you dig?